Hey, friend, welcome back to another episode of the Encourage Over Everything show. Letty here, and I am wondering, do you ever find yourself getting stuck in the past? Like carrying around all the old baggage from your past relationships, or maybe there's just one that seems to have the chokehold on you. Do you find yourself trapped in that same old relationship? Or maybe you're having the same argument on repeat and not really sure how to make it stop, but you know you are ready to get off this ride. If you have ever gotten your repeat button stuck on your CD player, you know what I'm talking about. Although I could be really telling my age here, but if you know, you know. The truth of the matter is, you don't have to stay stuck in the past or living out the same old thing as if this was Groundhog's Day. You can rewrite your own story, and I want to not just tell you how, but also show you how you can level up from here. But first, I have to know, what is the song that you know all the words to, but you can't stand? Like, you know every single lyric. You can hum and harmonize all four parts of the song, honey. The intro, you got all of the high notes down packed, but you can't stand it. For me, it's California Love. Okay, I know it seems like so ironic coming from the Cali girl, but in my defense, honey. So listen, before all the diehard California Love people who have it tattooed on their arm come and at me, before you do that, let me just say in my defense. It was super popular when I was in high school and I interned at a radio station and it was just played on repeat. So whether I liked it or not, I know every single lyric, honey. And if I hear it come on still to this day, I'm running as fast as I can to change the station. And interestingly enough, it goes the same with our relationship patterns. Whether you're conscious of it or not, we all develop patterns that are based off of repetition. So, whether it is the song that you love that comes on and you know all the words, or it's a song that you just can't stand, but yet you know all the words. See what I'm saying here? See what I'm getting at? It's that same repetitive process that really commits the song lyrics to memory, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it, love it, or can't stand it all works the same. Maybe you find yourself dating the same type of guy and wondering why. Or maybe you're just in a relationship and you keep having the same argument and you just can't figure out why. It's really these types of patterns that just keep playing out on repeat. You've probably fallen into the pattern, but just not really recognized or been able to really put your finger on it. And maybe you're just not sure of how to get out of it. Like, how do we take this stuck repeat button off anyway? First things first, you better recognize. You have to be able to recognize the relationship pattern. So, what is the pattern itself? What happens? Is it something that somebody says? What is the pattern? Does your man say something to you and suddenly, boom, now you got action and it is full fledged, we ready to fight? Or is it some type of an action or a behavior? What is the pattern that just sparks the cycle right on into process? What is happening? So, first, definitely recognize what the pattern is. And what have you learned from this pattern? Because you won't keep doing it if you're not getting something from it. So, what is it that you can learn from this pattern? And how has this pattern impacted your beliefs? Listen, it is often the beliefs that you have that go unnoticed that really continue to play out the same exact scenarios. And sometimes it's a belief that maybe it was true at the time, but it's just not true now. So check in on your beliefs and what it is that this pattern has caused you to believe. And then ask yourself, is it even true? And then it's your favorite. Or should I say your least favorite? I don't know. I'll let you decide. But what role did you play in this pattern? How did you show up? Once the pattern has been set into motion, it's easily to just fall back into your knee jerk reaction. Sometimes somebody says something smart to you, and then boom, you got action and you got something smart to say too. And now the tit for tat game has fully commenced. Or maybe you can tell when your partner is trying to spark a fight and you just decide to just shut it all the way down. Like you're not engaging, you're not participating, like it's just completely we're done here. And we're not even moving any further. We are not collecting 200 and going past go. So, how do you show up in the pattern? This is so important to recognize, and I feel like it just doesn't get talked about enough because whatever the pattern is, you are also participating in the pattern. And in order for things to really shift, there has to be a change in the role that you play or how you decide to show up in the pattern. But before we get too deep up in here, let me ask you this. Are you ready to release the pattern? Because let's be honest, okay? Let's just keep it all the way real. Sometimes you just not done playing the game. Maybe you feel like you win and you excel at this game and you just not ready to quit playing. Or maybe you're just so tired that you just don't want to deal with it anymore. Or maybe you just feel like you don't even know what to do next. And maybe you're not even sure that you're ready to even do what is required for things to really change. So, no matter where you find yourself, it's okay. Just be realistic about where you are. So once you recognize the pattern and you already know where you are and if you're ready to move forward, if the answer to that question is yes and you're ready to release the past, first and foremost, friend, please grant yourself some grace. Forgive yourself and forgive the other person. Now, listen, I know that a lot of people talk about forgiveness, and it seems as if it should just be some automatic switch that you just flip on and boom, forgiveness has been granted. This may take some time to actually work through. And that includes even forgiving yourself. Forgiveness is not an easy thing. It really depends on the person, the place, the situation, and where you are. But I really do encourage you to grant yourself some grace because you are human. And so often, rather than not, you are doing the best that you thought was best at the time. And that is okay. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to be one place and you are allowed to turn the page and be in someplace else. So grant yourself some grace because the less hard you are on yourself, you can then be less hard on other people. The more that you grant yourself some grace, the more you can be gracious with others. So start with you and extend from there. And then next, just make a decision that you are going to allow the past to be the past. It can be really hard to move away from a place that you are still in. So if you are constantly reverting back to the past, it's going to be really hard to take a step forward and just be present. So if you keep finding yourself reverting back to the past, I really encourage you to just stand where you are and be present. It can be really difficult to just move on or step into the bright, beautiful future that lies up ahead of you, especially when you're just unsure because you don't know exactly what that future looks like or what all that entails. So if it gets too overwhelming to think about moving forward, just be okay with standing where you being present is still a beautiful place to be. And in this present moment, you are not in harm's way. You are okay. And in order to really release the past, embrace acceptance because the past has already happened. And if you can accept that it has happened, it is what it is so much easier to move forward when you've embraced accepting it for what it was and move forward into being thankful for the experience. Now, granted, there are some extremely hurtful, traumatizing, horrendous experiences that you may have gone through. So, I do want to hold space for those experiences that have really truly done you so much harm. And at the same time, I also want to encourage you to find the silver lining from that experience because now you have a new level of awareness. That experience also helped you become who you are right now or who you've yet to become on the complete other side of it. So there can always be something good that you can find from every single situation. Sometimes you might have to squint really hard to look for it. You might have to really give yourself that space and that time to gain a new perspective. But trust me, it's always there. Earlier, I talked about baggage. And that is so much of what this release is all about because there is a bright, beautiful future ahead of you. But some of your luggage just cannot come with you. And so, if you are willing to release the past or the instances and experiences that have already come up that have had a chokehold on you, it is okay to shake hands with it and say, thank you for being here. We are done now. So that you can release it and be free to move forward. Because once you've got some freedom, honey, some space up in the place, now you are ready to rewrite your love story. And I know sometimes you just want to fast forward, honey. You just want to fast forward and get to the rewriting part. I feel it. But just understand that when you skip steps, you end up popping up against a reverse. It's just like in Uno, honey. And that reverse card come up, and next thing you know, now you right back at one, like Brian McKnight said. And sometimes you do have to go back in order to go forward. So I'm saying this with lots of love, but also just some hope for what is up ahead. So, what is the new story that you want to tell? Just because you've had bad past experiences does not mean that is the only experience you are destined to have. Just because you've hit some roadblocks in your relationship does not mean that it is destined to end. It doesn't mean that it's destined to stay the way that it is right now. It's interesting how whatever it is that you are currently experiencing, it can somehow feel extremely permanent. And whether you are dealing with things right now or you've dealt with things in the past, it has a way of feeling so permanent, but it really isn't. It's not permanent. It is not the end all be all. So, what is the new story that you want to tell? If for one moment you can just take a deep breath, place your hand to your heart, and just release the past, if only for this one moment, what would be the new story that you would tell? How would you change the station and sing a different song? How would you show up differently if you had the opportunity to show up as your best self? What is the one thing that you could do? What is one behavior you could change? What is one reaction you can have that would be totally different than the way that you've reacted to this in the past? Who do you have to become in order for this dream to come true? I know I just rattled off a lot of questions, and I really encourage you to whip out your journal. Go ahead, hit that rewind button, capture those questions, and journal about this. Spend some time with it. I love the question, who do you have to become in order for this dream to come true? Because sometimes when we think about becoming, it seems like it's in this far away place that can seem like it's going to take a long time to get there. But if you could tap into the best of who you are right now, who would you have to be in this moment in order for your dream to come true? I'll give you a hint. Never mind, I'm going to give you the answer. Answer is always within you. The answer is to believe it's possible for, just believe that it's possible for you. It's possible for you to have a better outcome. It's possible for the future to hold every single desire that your heart is beaming of. It's possible. And it's not just possible, but it's possible for you. So, what is a new belief that you can have that can support you as you move forward? And I'm not talking about believing with the side eye, because sometimes you believe it, but you only like halfway believe it because you have one foot in the belief and then one foot in the fear and doubt. So I'm not talking about no halfway beliefs. I'm talking about believing it with faith, the kind of faith that it doesn't matter how long it takes, the kind of faith it doesn't matter what everything looks like right now kind of faith. I'm talking about just flat out believing and believing in faith that it's possible for you. The past is really meant to help propel you forward. It's a great learning tool, but it was never meant to be a permanent destination. For as much as you enjoy going to like familiar places and it always feels comfortable and safe, it's also meant to inspire you to look forward to the places that you've yet to see. For all the songs of the past that you know all the words verbatim, they were never meant to be the only songs that you sing. I mean, think about it. If you only sang the songs that you grew up listening to, how many new artists would you miss out on? How many new songs that you absolutely love that came out this year would you totally miss out on if you never came to be present or look forward into the future. Just like you can learn the words of songs that you can't even stand. You can learn new songs and commit them to memory and heart, just like relationship patterns. Just because things happened in the past, it doesn't mean that that's the only possible outcome. So, how will you be different to yield a different outcome? And when a song comes on that you don't like, you can change the station. You always have a choice. Will you sing the same old song knowing that you don't like it? Or will you change the station and tune into another song that lights you up from the inside out? What new songs will you sing? Diggable Planet said, the choice is yours. And if you know, you know, because you can get with this or you can get with that. Okay, I'm sorry. You know that my mind is riddled with song lyrics, honey. All of that to say, the past does not have to be your purgatory. You are only stuck if you stay there. You get to decide if, when, or how you will move. You get to make a decision that you're willing to venture out, try a new music genre or a new artist, or dream up a new future of what your life can be. Your future is so bright. And now it's time to tell the story to Matt. All right, friend, I hope you loved this episode as much as I do. Tell me what your favorite part is. Tell me where you are on this journey. If you're starting, if you are somewhere smack dab in the middle of it, or honey, if you are ready to rewrite your story. Tell me where you are and what resonates with you. As always, I love hearing from you. So feel free to drop some comments down on this episode. Or if you've caught this on YouTube, be sure to drop me a little note. And if you love this episode as much as I do, share it with a friend or two or three, you know. But we need more positive messages out there. So if you are really feeling this episode, you can share it with some friends or drop a review, because those are just some of the greatest ways that you can share your thanks and appreciation for this podcast. As always, I just want to remind you that you can always encourage over your love story. You can even love and encourage over your past. All because together we can encourage over everything. Bye, friend.